beautiful people, and welcome to a galactic Mayan astrology report with Jyoti. So I hope that you've had a beautiful solstice and a Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas period, that was filled with loveliness and family and all of that good stuff. I've been in the UK for the first time in years for Christmas, so it's been, really beautiful to be with my partner's family, but also very cold. We went to Stonehenge for solstice as well, which was super, super interesting. I'll probably do a video about that at some point. But anyway, today we are in a new Wavespell, and the energy of the Wavespell that begins on the 29th of December 2019 is the final Wavespell of the year before we transition into a whole new decade. Now, it doesn't align really with the Mayan New Year because that happens in July, and that's all about Sirius, but in Gregorian terms we are moving into 2020, so it's big. Now, the Wavespell that we're moving into on the 29th of December is the energy of white doggy. So white dog, it's very significant for me because it's my birth Wavespell. So every single person on the planet is born within a 13-day Wavespell process, and that is our mission impossible. That is really the energy of what we have come to learn and transform. So if you want to have a reading to find out yours, get in touch with me. But yeah, the energy of white dog is really about unconditional love. It's about coming into that space within ourselves where we are able to give and receive and be in balanced relationship. It's really about relationship and community and family. Now, all of our learning about all those things comes from our early childhood, but not just our early childhood. It comes from before that. Now, the thing that's been really coming strong recently within, my life and working with clients, it's all about, this generational trauma and these generational patterns, and that's really what white dog energy is about. It's about the ancestral burden that gets passed down and passed down and passed down until we break it. So white dog is really this journey of being able to recognise where the story is looping. So for me, I can really recognise there are elements of my life that mirror my mother's life. There are certain elements of it that I feel like I've smashed through, so I'm not just doing the loop. But then there are other areas of my life where I can see the loop taking place. So it's really important, this Wavespell, if you have the space and the time. It's very interesting that it's just after Christmas, so after that time where the majority of people will have spent time with family. Muse about the patterns. If you're female, of your mother and your grandmother, if you're male, of your father and your grandfather, and see how the story is repeating in your life, because that is why we're here. We are here, this consciousness that is rising on the planet is here to break through the old patterns. It's like we've been stuck in a loop as a collective, going through these crazy power plays. And this is really what we're seeing on the world stage, and this is really indicative of these generational patterns that we've been embodying. The whole energy of white dog is about unconditional love. So what do we have to go through to learn about that? Conditional love. So conditional love is all about the snatching of power. We're not plugged into our own source. We don't feel full, so we have to take it. Now, when we were dependent children, we didn't have the ability to connect in for ourselves in order to have our needs met. So if our needs weren't met, we learned lots of different tricks to make that happen. From manipulation to scapegoating to avoidance to you name it, we've mastered how to get our needs met. If we couldn't get it from people, we put it onto substances and all that dance. And that's really what this white dog energy is about. It's about transforming that. It's about coming into a space where we fill our own cup so we don't have to engage in the drama, so we don't have to engage in that old pattern, so we break it so it's no longer playing out within our lives and therefore passed on to the following generations. So it's really, really good practice, like I say, this Wavespell, to have a muse about the patterns of your family that are repeating, and then do whatever it is that you do to transform them. For me, as I say all the time, it's EFT. And I've really been strongly working with some of my mum's patterns recently. And it's amazing being able to see the way that it's repeated, because my mum passed when I was very young. I was just reaching my teens. So I've been able to sort of have that period of very unconscious living to gather the momentum on her patterns, to have it all starting. And then as I've come into this place of a greater awareness, I can then see really clearly how I've embodied those behaviours. And it was like the things that she didn't get to clear, that she tried to protect me from, she had to leave the planet so that I could receive that conditioning in order to transform it. So also, this time, this white dog time, is very much about us going into community, who we are within community. And again, this stems from our personal history and who we were as children and all of that stuff. But it's really about honouring ourselves and letting go of these collective expectations, regardless of the community, regardless of how conscious the community or how unconscious the community. We have to be in integrity with ourselves before we can be in integrity with the collective. Once we're in integrity with ourselves, we know our place in the tribe. When we don't have that, and when we're kind of going around like, oh, who should I be? How should I be? And believe me, I know this from experience. We are missing, that ability then to fill our own cup up. Again, this white dog energy. And when we're not being authentically ourselves and when we're not tuned into ourselves, we're having to take from other people, demanding, manipulating, doing whatever it is that we learned to do. So also within this energy and this time, it's really important to have compassion. It's so easy when we start to see ourselves, to judge ourselves, to reject ourselves, and to close everything down, and then we either go into absolute avoidance or we go into self-destruct. Can we be compassionate? Can we see that it's a pattern that's been inherited, it's learnt behaviour that's been passed on, that's now changing? We're all just actors. We've come into these physical bodies to do a bit of a dance, and it's like we've learnt a certain dance, and that dance at the moment involves us bashing our shins on the edge of a table. So we need to change up the dance to make sure that we're not bashing our shins on the table anymore, So take it lightly. Don't take it too heavy. But enjoy having the ability and the opportunity to see how far you've come. I say this all the time because it's so easy when, we're looking around at this fast-paced world and everything needs to happen immediately, and it's all like, to miss how far we've come. So we're doing really well. You're really loved and you're doing an incredible job. We are cleaning up huge amounts of shit on the planet. And yeah, there's loads of shit because we've got to see it. Back. It was invisible. Now it's not. So every little thing that we do, every little bit of healing that we do is healing the collective. It's healing the whole grid. So thank you for doing that. And thank yourself for doing that. And I hope that you have a wonderful transition into 2020. I hope that this new year, in Gregorian terms, opens up, really beautiful possibilities for you. Now is really the time for us to be in the centre of our lives and living our lives to the fullest. And there may still be some things that are keeping us in the past. That this Wavespell is a really amazing opportunity for us to begin to put the things in place, to step out of the past into the present and operate on full capacity from that space. So I'm sending you loads and loads of love and blessings and Happy New Year.